welcome to the AFC Podcast. Just as a reminder, you can hear us on Google Podcasts, on iTunes Podcast, on Castbox. You can also see our lovely faces on YouTube, and that's also a great way to watch because not only can you see Jim's angelic expressions, but you can see the lovely bits of content that our day players bring on to show us what they're up to. My name's Victoria Fragnito.
I'm Jim Galizia, and today our amazing day player is Sultan Ali Jr. He is a writer and a director and a filmmaker. He's brought along 2 clips from his films that he's made past 5 stars and The Holiday Bouncer. And we're also going to talk about his film of choice, Waves. Now, Waves wrecked me.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that later. This is a very emotional story. A24 is a relatively new production company, and all of their stories are like really just, they hit you at your core.
Mm-hmm.
Because they focus on like the bare essentials and like very, very grounded stories. And it's different from the norm. Like, I'm so used to like Superman. There's been like 7 Supermans. Like, it's just been done over and over and over again to the point where you're like fucking sick of it. I'm not, because I'm a huge nerd, but eventually it's like, all right, there's too many Supermans. Like, let's tone it back. We need original content, and A24 is one of those companies that really puts up that original content, and I don't even go out of my way to see it, but when I do, I'm like, holy shit, this is great. So, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think more companies would take a leaf out of their book and just, put out original new stuff instead of remaking things over and over and over again. I get the whole argument. They want to make sure that it's a moneymaker and you are taking a risk, but A24 has taken risk after risk after risk, and it's either extremely critically acclaimed or it's, financially successful for them. So might as well take a leaf out of their book.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good book to check out. Yeah, I mean, there's not many original stories that I see. Like, when I see a trailer, I think of, oh, this is from that thing I've known forever. Like, if I see a new Spider-Man movie trailer, I know exactly what I'm getting myself into, and I love it because I've loved them ones in the past. But if I see something new, it's almost just like you're afraid of change, and you're afraid of something new. So something new comes along, and you're like, I don't know. You're skeptical. You're a little like, I don't know about this. For things that are reboots and they're familiar, you can just be like, I know exactly what this is, and I'm not afraid of it. Like, they're rebooting. Margot Robbie came out and announced that she's rebooting the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise with her replacing Keira Knightley. And I don't know if they're going to bring Johnny Depp back into the fray, or if they're even going to have they're probably going to be all different characters,
Yeah, I don't know. She's not replacing Keira Knightley. I think they're just restarting the franchise with new characters, possibly bringing Johnny Depp back as Jack Sparrow. He'd be the only one probably to come back. But is it necessary? Do we need it? Did it have to be Pirates of the Caribbean? Could they have
Pirates of the Caribbean without Jack Sparrow?
Well, did it have to be Pirates of the Caribbean? Like, what? Couldn't they just make a pirate movie with Margot Robbie? Did it have to be Pirates of the Caribbean?
They could, but also no, they won't. Because if Margot Robbie came out and said, I'm going to make a movie about pirates, some people would be like, that's awesome. Most people would not care. But if you say Pirates of the Caribbean, everyone goes, I remember that.
Well, and everyone goes, I'm sick of that. No, like, it's Margot Robbie. They're gonna see. You could literally film her sitting there breathing, and people would go watch it.
I would.
And for those of you listening, you just completely missed my weird hand gesture. So watch it on YouTube so you can watch that stuff.
I mean, if there was a movie that was coming out, and then they were like, this is a movie called Margot Robbie Breathing, and it's literally just her sitting there saying, hi, I'm going to breathe now. Mm-hmm. You know who else would command that presence? But Margot Robbie, obviously, because she's so beautiful and she has a lovely voice, very Australian. Like, I would listen to that. I talk to Siri sometimes because Siri has a cool accent. And I'm weird. But also another person that would command that presence would be Morgan Freeman.
Oh yeah.
If you had a movie where the movie opens up like a literal curtain opens and it's just Morgan Freeman sitting in a chair in an all-white suit in an all-white room, and he just reads you a book. It could be any book. I don't give a shit what book it is. Doesn't matter, because it's Morgan Freeman reading you a book. I would pay premium money to see that happen in any movie theater.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the point being, if you put the right people in it, it doesn't have to be a reboot. It can just be its own thing. Like I don't understand the point, but
Yeah.
I've said this multiple times on this podcast. So how about we stop listening to me bitch and complain, and let's bring Sultan on, and we can.
I enjoy your bitching and complaining. That might just be me. This is kind of just a reboot of the last episode, though, so I get where you're going. We should just move on to some original content.
Yes.
Let's show a clip from Sultan Ali Jr. It's going to be 5 stars.
I play the defensive position. Hey Yu-Gi-Oh though, yeah. Real life is cold and ain't tryna be broke. Bring back the stash like I'm Curtis Blow. Cause I'm just stuck in one spot, hardly budge. Jabba the Hutt with some flow. Calling out all your misdeeds, the people will judge. But sub a position my goal. Play with the dice, ain't no choice but the roll. Mama be thinking my soul is some cold. Mine these two, create a new toe. Create a new trend, but the mixture is dope. Mama gon' love it, I hope. A piece of the power that I owe. Cause if it wasn't for her, I might be in jail and got smoked. Nerd I became in my youth, the one of my lines in the booth. Part of the town where everything booth. Unless you know the people, the truth is about all you know. It's about all you prove. The way that you get it, the way that you move. Can't be indecisive, get with the groove. Ain't playing musical chairs, your life you might lose. If you drink close, then go follow the clues. If you need help, then Steve Burns ain't the dude. The price for yourself that you paying your due. Gotta learn how to like I'm back in school. The only difference is that there ain't no rules. Yeah. Only difference is that there ain't no rules. Create my own plane, Chuck Jones with the juice. If she don't fuck with Dragon Ball, then go chuck up the deuce.
Finally, I almost canceled on you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Traffic. Are you...
Skylar.
Right. Just gotta check. Water?
I'm good. Nice car.
Thank you. It's a rental.
Best rental I've seen.
So what's your type?
Whoa, I'm not into all of that.
Yeah, I meant the type of car.
Right, of course. Dodge Charger, cherry red.
Keeping it original. I like that.
You meant simple, but it's okay. That's just who I am.
No, I wouldn't call you simple. You seem special.
You barely know me.
Even more of a reason to believe it.
Thanks. Actually, speaking of chargers, do you have one for my phone?
Nah, I jammed it last week when I went to the movies.
Oh, what'd you see?
Finally saw the new Jordan Peele movie, We, Them, something.
You mean us? Yeah, it's so great to see black people on the big screen.
Yeah, diversity. It's great.
Yeah. Did you go alone?
No, I was going to take a date and she flaked on me last minute.
Oh, that's a shame. I wouldn't have flaked on you.
Ha! So, is your boyfriend going to meet you at the club?
No. Well, it's bullshit. He's bullshit.
I feel sorry for him.
Why?
A beautiful woman like you, I know he's regretting it every single day. To be honest, I wouldn't let you go.
You're good. Maybe I could call you for a late pickup?
Yeah, that won't be a problem.
All right, that was a clip from Sultan's film, 5 Stars. Sultan, tell us a little bit about that film.
So first, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. I would say I chose to do 5 stars because I saw a real influx of young women being abducted or just disappearing throughout near tri-state area, and I always felt there was a connection between their disappearance and I guess I would say ride-sharing apps. So I kind of created that horror fantasy kind of thing where maybe it was just they were being kidnapped by their Uber drivers and something just happened. So I just want to shed light on the fact that so many girls disappearing and no one really saying anything about it. So that's kind of my whole theme around that and my interest in the film.
Well, dude, it scared me. I'm watching it. I'm a 225-pound grown man.
I'm glad it worked.
The door locked, and when the door locked in the film, I go, oh no. No. Get me out of this car. I was done with it. So I'm glad the film ended at that moment because I was done with the film right then.
Really? A lot of people get mad and they feel like, oh my God, I want to see more. How dare you leave it at that end? Some people actually
I love that though.
Well,
I love that though. Like that you leave people wanting to know more. And sure, it might make them mad. Like they want everything tied up in a nice, neat little bow. They want to know how it ends. But I love that you don't. And I wasn't expecting it to go in that direction. Like I did have the initial thought, especially as a female, when she got into the thing, and he was like, "And your name is," and she said the name, and I'm like, "No, you gotta wait for him to say it. Don't do it."
Exactly. Always tell them to say their name. Never say your name. That's how you get set up. Too fast, too easy.
Yep. But I wasn't expecting the direction of it. So when it got to that pivotal moment, by the way, we're spoiling everything for everybody, but by the time we got to it,
and go watch his film 5 Stars. The link is in the description.
yes.
Check
But
it out.
as we got right to that end point and the door's locked and, he said his creepy thing, I was like, okay, I'm done. Yeah, this is over.
Walk home. Thank you very much.
So yeah, I think the one thing I really sold it was AJ and Brittany. They were both the perfect people for the film. Brittany was just great as an actress, and AJ had that good-looking but creepy guy look. Or like you're looking like, oh, okay, he's a good-looking guy, but like his eyes just told you that he has a sinister motive behind him, and he just knew how to play it so cool and so soft that it just came out naturally. He just had that natural instinct. So they're both amazing actors in it. So I felt like they really sold the show for me.
Yeah, I've worked with AJ before too on Isaac's film and the Fruta Extraña film, and he's an intense looking dude, but as soon as you're like he almost has like, I don't want to say resting bitch face because that's not right, but
Exactly.
just like resting scary man face.
He
And
does, right?
when
It's just weird, yeah.
you say hi to him and he's like, hey, what's up, man? Like he's so cool, but some people just got that face, man. I'm pretty scary. Like if you wouldn't talk to me on the street, but then you say one word to me and I'm like, what's up? Hey.
I can see that, Joe. I can see that.
Well, I have to ask, I loved your other short, Holiday Bouncer. That was hilarious.
Thank you.
Where did the idea come from that?
Oh God, I don't know where it came from exactly. You know what it was? I went to my stepfather's barbecue, and it was just a whole bunch of people there. And you know how barbecues get. People, have fun, get drunk, and everyone's crazy. And I was thinking, like, what if there was like a bouncer for like family barbecues? Like, what if like that cousin who owes you money, or that uncle who's just like terrible, or who always cheats at board games, a person like who just makes terrible food. What if like there's a bouncer to keep them out? Like they couldn't get inside, so your party is just like the best, like a VIP party, and all the annoying relatives are just kept outside. And I thought that could be funny. And I remember I texted Isaac, and he was like, "Bro, do that. Like, that's like hilarious. I would love to see that." So
I think the bouncer too. He was great. He was kind of funny the way he delivered everything, and it was good. I
the
like
crazy
that.
part was, yeah, his name is Rod Shannon, and the funny part about him was he's a comedian, but before that he was in the army and he was a cop. So he was literally built for that role, and he just knew what to do. And he's like freaking 6'5" in person and 300 pounds, like bald, brolic dude. So just again, he fit it perfectly. So he sold it definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
How did you you made these 2 films? What I think Isaac told me that you made them last year.
Yeah. I made 5 stars in March of like 18, and then I made 2018, and I made Holiday Bouncer last Thanksgiving.
That's cool. How did you get into the film industry in general? Like, what inspired you to start making movies?
Oh man, if I had to go back, I think it was when I would always go to movies as a kid. Like always go to the movies as a kid growing up with my father, my mother. We would go like on weekends and we would just watch like 4 or 5 movies back to back at Magic Johnson Theater. And after a while, I just kind of like fell in love with it. I don't know what sparked it. Maybe it was just the excitement of seeing a movie and hearing people talk about it after. But I would say that was like my moment where like I knew I would just do something with film. And from there, in high school, Cardinal Hayes, I was part of the TV film, program, and I started making films in there. And then I won a short film. I won an award for my short film, and after that, I just, just took off and just fell in love with the industry.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun industry to be in once you're in it. It's like all encompassing because you just want to tell fun stories and interesting people and put them on camera and do fun stuff. Do you have any upcoming films, things that you want to do, but maybe because of COVID you can't? But
So many. Yeah, I don't know how you guys are doing, but this thing really set me back crazy. Like, oh my God.
I don't know if it's back, but it throws me in place, if that makes sense. So I'm like I'm not like depressed or dying or anything, but I'm not necessarily like moving forward. There's nowhere to go right now, so it's kind of tough.
Exactly, and I feel how I feel. A lot of artists are just very, just like you said, stuck and frozen. So when that happened, one idea I was going to work on with a friend of mine, we were going to do a documentary. It was called The Recipe of a Black Woman. So we were going to do a thing where we have someone making a black woman, not like metaphorically, of course, not literally. And she's doing different ingredients, and each ingredient is a skill. So like one can be intelligence, one can be responsibility, one can be independence, and then we would do a short docu segment on each person who kind of embodies that skill. So each person would get, let's say, 5 minutes per skill, and then it'd be a whole docu series together. So that was one project we were going to do. Another one I was working on or Isaac and I talked about at one point, was expanding 5 stars into a longer short, because we had ideas about it. So that'd been fun too. But I would say those 2 are like my strongest ones that I was going to definitely pursue if this didn't happen.
Very cool. For those listening or watching, Isaac we keep bringing him up. Isaac Cintrone was a previous guest on the podcast, and he's a friend of ours as well that we've worked with quite a few times and we continue to work with in the future. So, educate yourselves and watch the other podcast as well.
Yes, definitely.
So you've been writing a lot of stuff, do you think, during quarantine? Have you been able to write? I have not been able to put anything on paper. I'm just not in the headspace.
I've been trying, man. Like I really been like giving it my best. So it's like some days you'll have that, that spark, and other days it's just like whatever. I'll play God of War and just see what happens later on today. But
that's my life. That's
yeah. So I've been able to write a few things. Maybe I work on specs for this.
I think we just glitched for a second.
Oh, you guys, go ahead.
So you said you played God of War. Are you a video gamer as well?
Mildly, not like avid. Like, don't quote me on certain stuff, but like, if I have the time, I'll play it. Like, I've been playing Spider-Man nonstop, bro. Like, I'm obsessed with the Spider-Man game. I don't know what it is. I can just swing around forever and just beat people up for no reason.
Even on the PlayStation 2 Spider-Man game, like when you swing, it's just like I'm free. Like I could do this all day.
I can just jump around and swing all day. I love it.
Yeah. You don't even play the game. You don't do any missions. You just like, I'm just going to swing around Manhattan and see what's up. That's
a fact. I do the same thing.
It's nice to be in a version of Manhattan that isn't experiencing complete turmoil right now.
Yeah. It's nice. I look around. There's like no police, nothing. Just everyone's just chilling. You're just Spider-Man. You're just Peter Parker, just like beating up the next drug dealer, the next robber. So
yeah. I mean, the story too, the storytelling that they have in that game and most games today. Like me and Victoria just played The Last of Us 2. And
how is that, yo? How was that?
It's so good. Victoria played it faster than I think anybody on the planet because she beat it in like 3 days.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I have been waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for that game for years. And I knew I've had surprisingly a busy couple weeks. So I knew that when it came out, I had to just bust it out. But I also I needed to know what happened to these characters that I loved and cared about so much. So my heart is broken. I'm grieving right now for everything in that game. Just ripped my heart out and stomped all over it.
Oh, so they're dead, pretty much. What you're trying to say? She's not saying it, but like they're dead. They died.
No, it's not that.
Oh,
that game just has a way of ripping your heart out, and when you think it's about to put it back in your chest, it steps on it even more. Is what that game does.
They might be dead, but they might not be dead.
See, I gotta get that was good. That was a good pitch. Now I'm thinking, like, man, I picked this game. That's a good game.
Yeah.
The old one, if you play the remastered version of the old one, the story for both games tied together. They're making an HBO series, and that's a fun topic we can go into a little bit. Is talking about games that become movies or TV shows and things like that. HBO is making a series for The Last of Us, which I'm excited for. Made by the same people that did the Chernobyl show.
I heard about that. I heard it's really good.
The Chernobyl show was really good. It was really well done. At the time, they were talking about, like, this is the new biggest HBO show since Game of Thrones. And I was like, it's going to last 5 episodes and then be done, right? Because there's not much else to do after Chernobyl is over. But, you know, it was really well made. And I think now that those guys have picked up this Last of Us franchise, they're going to keep making stuff in similar format. And it makes sense, too. If you watch Chernobyl, style of it, very easily you'll see, like, oh, this could work for The Last of Us as well. Like horror elements and still dramatic and very intense.
I would say, if you guys want to talk about, like, the best HBO show, I feel that I've never seen Game of Thrones, so I can't say since Game of Thrones, but I feel like what had real potential was Watchmen on HBO. That has some real, like, that show could have gone all the way, honestly, in my opinion.
See, I tell this to everybody, and nobody believes me that it's great. Like, they just don't watch it. That's the thing. Like, you have to watch it. Just listen to me, because I'm right.
Oh, my God. I was expecting the first episode. I'm like, yo, this is actually, like, a really good show. Like, it's everything after the movie. So it just, if you watch the movie first, and you get everything that's happening in the show, and it's just all just perfectly ties together. It's amazing. I love it. That should have stayed on for a second season, honestly. I don't know why they canceled it. That didn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, they didn't cancel it. They basically said they had the option to make another season. And the guy who was running it and said, like, the guy who was in charge of it and was making the first season said, like, nah, this is all I wanted to put out. Like, this is it. So he basically said, like, I don't trust anyone else to take this on, and also I'm not going to do it. So it sucks, but it's also like, you know, curtain open, curtain close. And I think we're just all not used to that anymore, because once you see something you like, you're like, give me more of it. And that's where reboots happen. And that's where remade movies.
I think that, like, that's a problem, a huge problem that we have in television they don't know when to end things. Like Breaking Bad was perfect. They ended it. I didn't see El Camino with Jesse or anything like that. But like the Breaking Bad itself was perfect. Better Call Saul, same universe. It's going just long enough. But like if you go to something like House of Cards, that went on way too long, even though they had to cut it. They even cut it short because of all the Kevin Spacey drama. They had to cut it shorter than they wanted to. The original House of Cards in England was a 4 series, so 4 seasons, and their series are like 5 episodes or something ridiculously short in comparison. And I think you have to know when, like, this is the perfect amount. You're going to ruin it if you do any more. But people just want so much content all the time. We just don't know when to end things.
That is true. That is really true. That's a good point. I do think about like how I'll see my favorite TV show. I'm thinking like, okay, if you stop here, this is fine. But you kind of feel, it's like you feel that drag with a TV show after like maybe like the 5th or 6th season. You feel like, all right, they're just doing anything now at this point. And you're kind of ruining the hype I had in the beginning. It's just like, let it go. You can just let it go. It's okay. I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you, Sultan, when you sent your email back to us, it said that you work as a writer's assistant for the WWE.
Yeah. So I'll give you the whole spiel about that.
Yes, please. I'm very interested.
So I think it was like after I graduated, I just finished a freelance post-PA job with HBO for a documentary they're working on, and I was looking for a new job. And I remember seeing writer's assistant WWE constantly on my LinkedIn. Like every single day I would see it. I'm like, okay, I see a sign when I see a sign. I look into it and it's saying, oh, we're looking for writer's assistant to work with us. It's regular work hours. You'll be working with us on set. Sometimes you actually go to the actual show, like in wherever, and actually work on real time behind stage. So I was like, that's dope. The only downside was it's in Stanford. And I live in New York. I live in Harlem. So I can get there, but it's going to be like an hour and a half like ride on the Metro North. So I'm thinking, should I do this? I'm like, you know what? It's a blessing to be a writer's assistant at all. And if it's just like an hour away, that's kind of like a good give and take, honestly. So I went for it, got the interview, I got the job, and I was just about to start, but then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you understand? Like, they called me, I signed the contract, I passed the background check. Keynote 2 jobs do background checks, and they go deep in your Twitter and Facebook, so be careful. They go very deep. Luckily, I passed, no problems. They're going to give me a new cell phone and new laptop just for work. So I had the whole like setup ready to go. Then COVID happened. And like, all right, next month you'll start. This next month in May. You'll start again next month. Now it's June. We don't know now. So I'm in this point of like purgatory of just like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm still definitely excited for the job. It's a great job. They want people who are not wrestling fans because they want just outside input on what can make the show better. And they tell me I'm going to work there and write notes, and I can actually pitch ideas to the writers to actually put in the show. So they promised I would get a real world experience into writing and how to actually gear up for the actual writing side of the industry. So it is a good job. Now I just have to wait and see if it'll still be there when it's all over. So,
yeah, I mean, the WWE is still going strong, weirdly enough. They're with no audience. They're still doing wrestling matches, and it's cringy. It's hard to watch because they're like, "Can you believe this crazy action?" And then they look over and nothing.
It's like no one there. It's so funny. And y'all talk to them, and I'll say, "Are you guys doing this still?" And it's like, "Yeah." You understand? Vince McMahon is so about his hustle that if you can just find a way to get a camera, he'll record something. Like, it takes a lot for him to say, let's stop. So when COVID happened, they were going berserk. They had no idea what's going to happen because for the first time ever, they couldn't work. And they worked 24/7. Like, these people fly in and out planes. Like, they get like one day off on a Sunday. So they're 24/7 working. So when this happened, they find a way to make it work because they can't stop. They really cannot stop. Like their hustle is to the max, bro. I'm telling you, it's insane over there.
I can't. I watched a clip of them doing pre-match trash talk and all of that stuff to no audience, and it felt so much to me like they were trying to like they're good actors, man. They have to like it felt like I was watching them try to do Shakespeare like in wrestling tights is what it felt like.
Yeah.
But then you just realize how much things like that, like you just need the audience. You need the live experience. Yes, they can keep going. They're gonna keep going clearly, but there's something about that needs the audience to feed off of.
That energy, yeah, is definitely that audience participation that definitely fuels the wrestling environment. So it's not there anymore. It's kind of like, and their mindset is people already watch at home. So what's the point of having people there in the audience? But it's like again, it says just that energy amplifies when people are actually in the room and cheering them on. You kind of get that like, yo, this is a real show. Mm-hmm. So now that's gone. Yeah, it's different. It's there, but it's not the same.
They should try to spice it up, because doing it in the ring with an empty arena, that's the problem. They should, I think, take these wrestlers and have them act the same way and perform the same way, but just like make them all stay in a house together, Or
like Real Housewives of WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then it could be like, I don't know if these guys are still around, but like Stone Cold and The Rock, they're go-to wrestlers that I know of. Just imagine like Stone Cold going into the fridge and being like, "Who the hell drank all my beer? Who did?" And then Batista comes out and he goes, "It was me. Fuck you!" And then rams him through the fridge. Like it would be so fun to watch, and then it would eliminate the need to have an audience screaming, because then it's like for the people at home. It's almost like a quarantine version.
That's actually not a bad idea. Like we just make the wrestling rink just a regular apartment, and they just all fight each other in an apartment, and just I'm
giving it to you as a WWE writing assistant.
No, like yo, do that. It's perfect.
You can tell Vince McMahon at your next meeting, because I'm sure that you talk to him all the time.
Definitely.
So Sultan, in your email, you also sent us some movie suggestions that we should talk about on the podcast. You sent quite a few. You sent Parasite. You sent Uncut Gems. Both very good movies. I saw Uncut Gems recently. But the one that I didn't recognize or even know anything about is the one we went with, called Waves. Tell us why you chose Waves, and why would you make me watch that? Because it hurt so much to watch.
It did, didn't it? Oh my God.
It's such a good movie. I should correct myself, because it's not a bad movie. It's so emotional, and it really cut me to my core. All of a sudden I'm watching it and I'm like, this is good. I like this. I like how they're filming it. I like their cinematography. Oh God. And I was like punched in the gut. But tell us why you chose that movie and what it means for you and all that.
I think the one reason I chose that movie is one, because again, the feeling you felt, I don't know, Victoria, how you felt about it, but it hit me when I first saw it. I'm going into it like, all right, it's, about, dysfunctional family, the father's too hard on the son and the mother's just on the side, and the daughter's just like, in her own room. What's going to happen? Go into it. I'm like, yo, this is like pretty good, because if you notice, we don't really hear their names at all. We don't know who they are. I mean, in the sense of like their names, but we just get it automatically about who they are and what they're about. And for me, that film just kind of it spoke on masculinity. It spoke on peer pressure. It spoke on drugs, alcohol, sex. It spoke on forgiveness, and it spoke on, just going down your own path and what that can lead to, and just how it affects people around you. And it just hit different, maybe because I'm Black and I'm seeing a Black family, and you're seeing a Black father really push his son to the limit and ignoring his daughter. And you're seeing how in his mind, he's thinking he's doing the right thing, but he's not recognizing how it's affecting his children in his home life. And when we get to that second act and how everything just kind of falls apart, it just shows you like there was nothing together about this family at all. They all had their own problems. And then we start with the daughter, and she's doing her own journey with her, her boyfriend and everything. And it was like waves. Like one thing led to another, and it was like up and down every single part. And so it just hit me, man. It was a good movie. I was really surprised how good it was. I just loved it.
Yeah, it was a difficult watch in a good way.
Yeah.
You felt like you were right there with them the whole time. You're a fly on the wall. You're in it with them. And I think that's just a testament to how great of a filmmaker and on the team that they had to make this film. It's a strong script. It was a strong team behind it. So everyone should watch this film. They absolutely should. It was fantastic. So I thank you for putting me through that turmoil and making me watch it.
That's a good movie. You just be like, oh, thank you for putting me through that pain. It was so worth it.
Yeah.
It was, and again, it was just a simple film. It was so simple in the sense of like, they didn't go a lot of locations. It was all in the same area. They didn't go far. And it was just, relied so heavily on the acting. Like Sterling K. Brown, who played the father, he really sold that role perfectly. And, you know, their son and their daughter and the wife, you rely so heavily on their emotions, and you felt it. And the color aspect too, the cinematography was beautiful. I loved it. The music was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's A24, man. Like, they make dope films all the time. They don't stop.
They're like known for it now. They're just like, every film that A24 puts out is just like a really raw, emotional story. And you know, it's something too that what they do is different from everybody else, because everybody always complains about, oh, like they're always doing reboots, or they're always doing the same thing over and over again. They're rebooting Pirates of the Caribbean for the 5th time. And that is true, by the way. They are rebooting that. And A24 is like, nah, here's a very small scale story about this kid and his sister. And it's like, shit, it's more gripping than any of these other movies out there. So A24 knows what they're doing. They got their market pinned. They know exactly what kind of movies they're putting out.
Exactly. And I think that speaks into the fact that we as viewers, we want original content. We want original stories. And it could be something so simple as a family, but if you just tell it in such an original way, I'm going to love it. You know, I'm going to appreciate the art. And that's what we want. We just want real, original stories. We'd be like, you know what? See this movie. It's worth it. It is worth it to sit down and watch this.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm the first person in line for the next Spider-Man reboot, of course, but I'm also loving this movie, and it makes me appreciate and want to see other types of movies. So
definitely. I'm glad you like for real. It was good.
Yeah. Well, Sultan, before we send you on your way, we do want to talk about the Holiday Bouncer. We're going to show a clip once you're gone, but tell us a little bit about the Holiday Bouncer and how did that whole production like happen? I know we already kind of talked about it, but give us like a day in the set. It looked cold. Did you guys film that like in November?
Cold. Understatement, man. Freezing. Oh my God. So I'll tell you, I'll give you the steps on how pre-production went in the sense of getting everything together. I do a lot of outreach when it comes to my casting crew. Definitely have people in my back that I can hit up, but usually I reach out to people that I want to see their skills can speak for themselves. So I got a DP. I got I got someone for lights. I had a sound guy, and all that together was definitely a trip because we shot it in, again, Isaac's house. Another shout out to him, and his grandmother's house, and we shot that all in the first day, and we shot it at night. We didn't shoot it during the day. It was like evening time we shot it because we thought about Thanksgiving dinner usually is around the evening time, so it doesn't make sense to have it in the morning. So we have to wait like a little bit dark.
Having dinner at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Oh my God.
Weird.
In the afternoon, Jesus Christ, that's like just waking up and you're having Thanksgiving dinner.
I tell them every year, this is lunch. Why are we doing this at 2 or 3 in the afternoon? Like,
lunch.
Well, we want to, be done eating by 6 so we can all be asleep by 7 p.m. Like,
all right, that's on you. I don't know over here. Black people, we start around late. We start like 8 o'clock and we just go to sleep around 11 o'clock. But we started at nighttime. It was definitely cold. Luckily, the actor showed up And we did everything in 2 days. The first day was all the actors lined up trying to get into the house, and that was fine. It was still crazy because lights were going on and off, and we had to switch the camera back and forth, but we got it done. The second day was with the extras. Like in the first scene, you'll see there's a whole party environment. We had to buy a glazed ham for prop. We actually cooked a ham just for props.
If you're gonna buy a ham, you might as well cook it.
Exactly, might as well cook it. We had party lights downstairs. We bought some like finger foods and appetizers and stuff like that, and laid it out in the living room. And so that second day went a little bit more softer, I want to say, because it was also inside. So that was quicker to do. But also the second day is when we shot the grandma scene, and we had the part where grandma's coming out in the car, and it's all slow motion like a rap video. And I want to say that part was fun because we had a smoke machine too. So we had to like time it perfectly, and we had like green neon lights inside the car. So when she stepped out, it was like green lights touching her body. So that was like super fun. Altogether, it was difficult, but it was worth it. And it made me feel more like a filmmaker because I know that if it wasn't hard, it wasn't worth it. And so it kind of gave me that insight about, I know this is what I want to do, because I know even though it was difficult, even though I spent a lot of money, even though I begged people for money, it was still worth it. And I would definitely do it again. No problem, no doubt.
Well, the end product was awesome. So it definitely seemed like it was worth it.
Credit to you as a filmmaker too, because you made this very scary horror type of thing, which is the first clip we showed, and then a comedy. It's very opposite spectrum, and they both are great, very well put together films. So
thank you. I mean, I'm trying my best to like at least try to do one genre at a time to see what I can do. I mean, action is going to be the hardest one. I want to do an action film so bad, see what I can do with that. That'd be dope to do, honestly.
Yeah. For my company, when we started out, our first thing was like, let's just make a fight scene. And we did that, and it came out great, but every little detail of it was difficult. So like we had this actor that we did all the rehearsals with, and he got into a car accident the day before we filmed.
Oh my God.
He wasn't badly injured, but he was just like, I can't make it to this silly film shoot that you guys want to do. So, for us, that was like devastating. Like half of our, crew got taken away here. And then the guy in the scene called his buddy up who does fight stuff and just said, hey man, can you on the fly just learn these moves that we already practiced and choreographed and did all this stuff? And he was like, sure, I'll come through. And we paid him in pizza, and they beat the crap out of each other, and the scene looks cool.
I feel like, real quick, pizza restaurants should have like a discount for filmmakers, because I feel like that's just the go-to crafty. Like, come on, at this point, Domino's have like a coupon for filmmakers. Are you shooting a short film? 25% off on all Domino's pizza. Like,
I'll just be filming a short film forever then.
Yeah, right? It's perfect. More money for you and them.
Are you a filmmaker? Yeah, check out my YouTube channel and give me that discount, bro.
Discount for that new Domino's pizza. I would love it. Little Caesars, $5 box, now $2 box. Like, that'd been perfect.
Yep. Well, Sultan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate you bringing some cool films to check out, talking about Waves and all your stuff that you've got going on. Wish you all the best, and keep writing, keep putting films together.
Dope, guys. Thank you so much for this. I mean, Victoria, Jim, you guys are great. I'm loving the podcast. So thanks for having me, honestly. It was great.
Thanks, man.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah.
Next.
Excusez-moi, black man.
Ho, ho, ho. Name?
Name? You know, IRS or something?
No, man. I'm the bouncer. And the Roberts family hired me to keep out annoying-ass relatives like you.
Well, look at here, bouncer. I'm family, man. I'm Cousin Dave.
Hold on. Come on, man.
Bye.
Yeah, that's right. Come
Me?
Yeah, enjoy yourself, man.
cousin Dave, man. I'm Shirley's nephew. I'm good peoples, man. Come on.
Oh, you mean the cousin Dave who still owe her $500 from last year?
Yo, Aunt Shirley's still on that bullshit. Yo, this bouncer. Hold on to this. Matter of fact, I got you, man. I got you on the come up.
Oh, man, this ain't no whole $2. You know what you can get with this?
Inside?
No, sir. To the hell to the back of that line. Next. Oh.
I'm Tracy.
Tracy?
I'm good. What?
No.
What the hell? Why not?
Don't make me say it.
Oh, wow. Really? Oh, really? Because I'm gay? I can't go inside?
Man, hell no.
Why?
It's because you hide all the food and take all the to-go places. The kids can't even get no pumpkin pie, Tracy. And
what?
it says here, you even drunk up all the liquor.
You know what? Man, fuck them kids. Plus, that was in the past. I'm good now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What's in that bag?
What bag?
That bag. What's in that bag? Let me see this. Look at that. Come on, keep better. What's in? Come on, keep better. What the hell? What is this? What is this, Tracy?
You know what?
What is
Look
this?
at you. Damn baby. Look at you.
Hey, you see that door?
You big anyway.
Act like it's a door to the closet. You know you don't want to go back in there. Next! Ho.
Excuse me?
Name?
Janice. Auntie Janice.
Says here your name is Janice?
I'm responsible for the potato salad.
You do know these folks ain't got no health insurance, right?
I promise I did a better time than last year. Just let me in, please. Excuse me. Take a look at the
Ooh! Man, why they smell like the Ebola virus?
That's what gives this beautiful sweet taste. And first of all, I use grandma's recipe.
Just let me in, please.
No, baby. If you go in there, I'm calling the FBI. Next!
Thank you again to Sultan Ali Jr. for coming on the show, talking to us about his process and how he got where he is, and sharing with us those clips from his 2 short films, the 5-star, and also the Holiday Bouncer. Those were awesome, really, really great. And it's really interesting to see someone jump genres as far as he did with those. And that film that he suggested we watch, Waves, I emotionally was not prepared for the film that we watched.
I mean,
I was not okay.
you should have been prepared because halfway through the movie, now I won't spoil the movie, but there's a very clear halfway point in that movie that when you hit it, you're like, oh, this is the halfway point. I hit that point in the movie and I paused it because I had to answer a text message. And I was just like emotionally distraught and it like broke me a little bit. And when I paused it, the thing popped up to tell me like the timeline of where I was in the movie. And it was only half. And I was like, what the fuck? I feel like I just watched a 3-hour epic movie. And it was like, nah, that was straight up maybe 60 minutes tops.
Right. And I feel like, this movie, you were checking the time, not because it was too slow and you were bored and you were like, oh my God, when is this going to be over? You were checking the time because you were like, I knew the film was 2 hours and 15 minutes. And when all of the shit went down in the middle of the film, I was like, how are we only halfway done? What more can you do here? And I think there obviously is like such a huge shift between Act 1 and Act 2 of the film. But for those last like 15 minutes leading into Act 2 of the film, this film is so raw and so real, and the cinematography is so stunning beyond all of like the choices that they make with the visuals and using the lights and playing with color and all of that non-realistic stuff. When they are in the real world, it's a lot of handheld camera. You feel like it's a lot of really interesting camera angles to make you feel like you are right in the middle of everything. So as they go through this horrible ordeal, you just feel like you're there in the middle of it and you're feeling it with them. And that's why like the last 15 minutes, I was like, how is this only 15 minutes? How I immediately like grabbed a pillow and like just held on to it for like that whole section. Cause I couldn't, I was feeling awful and just my heart was falling to pieces for these people.
Well, see, this is why you should have been prepared for this movie, is because when I paused it halfway through, I immediately stopped, and that's when I texted you and I said, "You're gonna cry. You gonna cry. It's gonna happen."
But see, I cry at the drop of a hat. You could, like show me a cute video online about like a dog that overcame like a disability of not being able to walk, and I will cry. Like I cry at literally everything. So you telling me I'm gonna cry wasn't really like, it was when you said you were having a hard time with it, I was like, what am I getting into? But I think it was also, I just didn't expect what the story was. And that's something else I really appreciated about this film was at the beginning, and this isn't spoiling anything for anybody, but like at the beginning, when you see it's about a suburban Black family in Florida, and you see, the dynamic between the father and the son and the pressure he's putting on the son, and the son, is a varsity athlete and he has an injury that he's dealing with and he doesn't want to lose that, and watching kind of his life fall apart. He's stealing his dad's pain pills to deal with the pain in his arm. And if you put it on paper, it's really easy if you had the wrong team behind it, the wrong filmmaker, the wrong actors, the wrong anything, and you took this story, it's really easy to make it soap opera-y and melodramatic and cliche. And this film was anything but that. It was raw and it was immediate and it was urgent and you were in the middle of it. And I didn't feel at any point, because like, they had kids, rich, well-off kids living in McMansions in Florida, partying and doing drugs and drinking and all this stuff. And, if you put that on, ABC Family or Freeform or whatever they call it nowadays, it's easily, a cheesy teen drama, but this was not that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, right away, I was like, this is an actual family. Like if not for, I just had to look up his name because I wanted to make sure I had the right person. Sterling K. Brown is the only actor from the film that I recognize, the dad. And if there have been other actors that I actually recognized, and Clifton Collins Jr. is one that I've seen in a couple things before, but he's only like one of the side characters. He plays the girlfriend's father. Because I was able to immerse myself more in this movie because these aren't like household name actors. And honestly, after this movie, they should be, because their performances were what really sold it the whole way through. And the cinematography too, you were talking about that a little bit. I wanted to point out one thing that I noticed right away was A24 does not give a fuck about the black bars. They will use it however they want to do it to make you focus on things that you need to focus on. Mm-hmm. That whole 15-minute segment that you're talking about, almost all of it was in 4:3, which is very strange for movies to be doing right now. But it almost makes you focus in more because they're giving you a more narrow perspective. Mm-hmm. So it's like laser focused in on the thing that's happening. And then even when they cut forward, I forget the moment that they changed it back, but even when the perspective of the story changed from the brother to the sister, which is about the halfway point in the movie, mm-hmm. the 4:3 still stuck around. So that kind of stuck with her for a little bit. And then she met this guy and she started a relationship. And I think that's where it kind of started the black bars changed again. Mm-hmm. But A24 was messing around with that in a very different ways. It's almost like they had two different filmmakers come in and say when they wanted that to be a thing, which is very interesting style-wise. But these actors, they were incredible. And
they had to be, because there is not a shit ton of dialogue. This film was so it said so much without a lot of dialogue. The actors didn't have a ton to say, and the filmmakers told the story based on the visuals. And it wasn't just, there was a lot of weird transition scenes and stuff like that where I couldn't quite tell like what he was using. One point looked like I was in like an ultrasound or something, but you pan all the way out and you end up being like with the sister somewhere. She's like sitting on a bench.
All the crazy lights and things.
Yeah, all of that stuff was, it was so necessary and great. The director was Trey Edward Schultz. That's the name I was looking for. He was just so brilliant in his usage of dialogue. Not a single word is wasted. It's all extremely necessary. A lot of the quiet moments is when you actually see the relationship and the things happening. And I loved what Sultan said about the film, about how it addressed so many things. I think one of the biggest things it addressed was talking about like masculinity and how that can really fuck with your brain. And, it led to so many things, so many bad choices and bad decisions and hurt and heartbreak, based on that. And it's so good.
I mean, the thing for me was that basically the resounding message from the movie for me was talk about your feelings.
Yes.
All around, because the son wasn't talking about his feelings and to see what it all led to. And he was, trying to talk to his girlfriend about keeping a baby. And it was just like, he's trying to have that conversation, but only if it's the way he wants it to go. And that was a little weird, but it's a realistic take on it because that's kind of what happens a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, I was having a conversation with Nick because he watched the film with me about, in high school, seeing like how much pressure he's under and seeing everything in his life kind of like fall apart within like a couple weeks, his wrestling career, going to States, possibly getting like a college scholarship off of it, everything that gets thrown out the window, losing control. And, his girlfriend's pregnant. And he's a senior in high school. So like all of that. And, mixing that all together with a father who puts so much pressure on him, and they're not emotionally open with each other. They're not close. Like just watching the way Sterling Brown, the father, looked at his son when he got seriously hurt during that one match. I mean, he was crying because he was in pain, not just in his shoulder. Like watching his father, like he didn't have to say anything. All he had to do was stand there and look at his son, and you could just feel his son, his heart break.
Yeah.
Like let his dad down.
Yeah, just the disappointment that was like radiating off of him. I was like, oh, that hurt to look at, because you feel it because it was from his perspective too.
Yeah.
So shot it like you were his eyes, and I mean that's tough. And honestly, the craziest thing about it is nobody did anything wrong. Like obviously he lost control, got really drunk, and it was an accident, and all the things that went down were an accident. I don't want to spoil things. Go watch the movie. But I don't think the dad was like too overbearing. He was just pushing his son to be the best and be great. And honestly, you don't become great unless you strive for greatness. So he's pushing his son, but I think, the son should have been more open about like, hey, you're pushing me too far. Like I feel so much pressure. And
Sure. But growing up in that household, just based on the, window of time that we had with the family, I don't see that being a possible conversation his son ever could have had with his father. His son was never, you could clearly tell that the son never felt like he could go talk to his father about any of that stuff ever.
And I think, honestly, all this crazy stuff that happened, that's not where I was like emotionally, I felt it all. But the one point that really got me, that really made me shed like one manly tear, it was the manliest tear ever, listeners. But the manliest tear fell from my eye, just one solid tear, when the daughter and the father sat on the bench and really like let all their shit out. And
Oh my God.
like broke down and like told her about all his problems. And it was just like, wow, he was harboring all this stuff and she's harboring all this stuff. And you just got to let it out and air it out, because the only people you can air it out with is your family. And
Yeah.
because the son didn't air it out with the dad, and they just let it all, they bottled it up. It just built and built and culminated in this explosion of bad things happening. And I think the point that he should have turned it around, the young character, Tyler was the name of the character. Tyler is in this doctor's office, and the doctor says, "You're never going to wrestle again. You shouldn't wrestle. Your shoulders." He said it in much more professional terms, but he said, "Your shoulder's fucked. It's fucked. And it needs surgery like immediately." And he decided instead to lie to his family and not tell them and just push through it. And it wound up fucking up his shoulder for sure. And then everything for him just went so downhill so fast, because he should have immediately at that point said, shit, okay, well, I guess wrestling's out the window. My family still has this business that I could step into more and focus more on that. It'll disappoint his father, sure, but that would have been the turning point where he could have said, all right, I have to do this. Also, my girlfriend is pregnant, and I got to handle that shit.
Right, but like, I could totally see why he didn't make those choices, why he didn't, why he hid the fact that his shoulder was fucked up. I mean, all you need to do is see the way, like I said, see the way Sterling Brown, his father, looked at Tyler when he really hurt it at the match, to know that that was his only relationship with his father, is him pushing him to be the best wrestler he can be and all this other stuff. And yes, his father thinks he's doing what's best, and that's important, is everybody thinks they're doing what's best. But I could totally see that why he didn't do any of this stuff. His life fell apart within like 2 weeks, so he just freaking lost his mind, and he didn't. And being someone who, with him being someone who grew up in a very toxic masculine environment, not being able to process these feelings and talk about them and being able to deal with them, seeing your life fall apart in 2 weeks and not knowing how to handle it, of course he made the decisions he made, and of course he made the mistakes that he made and lost it. Like,
That's what
the film is very aptly named in that everything comes in waves. And I think the second half of the movie, while nothing 100% gets solved or anything like that, there's so much hope in it, surprisingly, especially with following Emily's story, the sister. And it's a beautifully redemptive part of the story to watch the father and how he's trying to like move forward and keep the family together. And you hope that with how much he wants this, that he will change from all of that toxic masculine BS that has hurt his relationship with his daughter, hurt his relationship with his son, and hurt his relationship with his wife. It's just, I think, it's such a brilliant film. Make sure that you're not in a dark, heavy place when you watch it, because it's not gonna help with that. But
heavier, yeah. If you think you got a lot going on, maybe watch this film and it'll make you go, oh, my life's fine. Not because of coronavirus and all the things going on in the world, but one of the things I wanted to point out too with the father, because you said he doesn't really have an opportunity to change anything or talk about it. The dad literally sits down with him and goes, tell me what's up. What's going on? Tell me what you got going on. But the kid, obviously he doesn't feel like he can, so he says everything's fine. I'm just, can't talk about it. Like, it's not like,
I'm dealing with a lot, is what he said.
Dealing with a lot. and the dad's like, you don't want to fucking talk to me, whatever. Like, you know, it's the idea that people can't express their feelings or be open with one another. And I think switching the story from the brother to the sister really kind of gave this different perspective of seeing her and how she's responding to the lessons that he's learning, or he was forced to learn. And she kind of took it and handled it a lot differently. So basically her thing too was, because his major lesson was learning how to get all those feelings out without bottling them up, because obviously he bottled them up, and then big explosion of craziness happened. Her thing, Emily, her thing was that she didn't act when she saw she had an opportunity to do something about it. So it was like a hindsight thing where she said, I should have done something. I could have done something. I could have changed all this. I could have just gotten up. If I had just gotten up and done something. So when she had a new boyfriend, Luke, and Luke says like, oh, my father's dying of cancer. She's like, we got to do something. We got to go and see him. So it was like her, like, she's like compulsively like, we have to go. And she wanted to help him go through that and do that. It was just very, that's the point where it got me a little bit more. And I think I identified with her story even more, just because it was like reflecting upon, it felt like two movies.
Yeah.
A double feature for that reason. But I just loved how it was all put together, and it was just, everything came in waves, and it was just a great name for it. I didn't think about it until the movie was over, and I was like, now it makes sense to call the movie Waves.
Right, and I think, you know, it's such an accurate portrayal of life, in that, you know, like a lot of times, obviously in movies, for the 2 hours you're in kind of the same situation. You know, you're dealing with, like, if it's an action movie, you're in this, you know, high energy action for like the whole time, or if you're in a drama, you know, it feels really like down. And, you know, this actually was like what real life can really be like when you're dealing with something so heavy. Things come in waves, you know, the good times, the bad times, all of it. The way you deal with grief comes in waves, and I think that was just so beautifully done.
Yeah, you know what killed me? This is what bothered me the most about the movie, and it's because they got it so right that it kills me. Because obviously you can watch this story and think like, oh my God, everything that happened with Tyler, you know, it was not that it wasn't his fault, but it was just circumstance, and it was an accident, and it just led to the worst possible outcome. You can say that and you can think that in your brain, but then when they did the thing where they showed like the Instagram page and all of the people commenting like, he should rot in hell, he should burn for this, they should just throw him off a cliff, like all this terrible shit. And I was like, fuck, they even did that. They even got people's immediate like cancel culture type of vibe on the internet. But we watched this story unfold, and we saw how deep it goes, and how
and there's like no excuse for his behavior, but you can see how he got there. And that's the beautiful part of this storytelling, is that like they're not telling this story and making, like, they are making him sympathetic in a way, in seeing that he's a product of his environment, but he's still his own person and makes his own decisions. And it's, you know, it was so accurate and so real life, and it's beautiful. Watch it. Just watch it. Everyone go watch it.
Everyone go watch it right fucking now.
Watch it right now.
So this movie had its premiere August 30th of last year. Telluride Film Festival was where it premiered, and then it actually came to the United States. It was released on November 15th by A24. You know, from the before the nightmare times of 2020. So this movie did not last very long before the world fell apart. The box office, it only brought in $2 million, which is not a lot. We couldn't find anything about the actual budget of the film, so I don't know if it profited or if it did okay or whatever, but it received many awards and nominations for awards, and like I'm just reading through here, Outstanding Motion Picture, Outstanding Breakthrough Performance. I'm seeing the word breakthrough like 6 times. All the actors got flying colors for all of their roles. You know, it's crazy how good this movie was, but just because of when it came out, I think is going to make it not suffer a little bit, but people aren't going to know about it. Just because of coronavirus and the world shut down and theaters aren't playing it all over.
Yeah.
But it's worth a watch for sure. It'll make you think different. And that's what's crazy about this movie, is that we will watch it and you will be changed by it after. You will have to be, at least temporarily, you will think differently a little bit.
And that's all you can hope for as a filmmaker, screenwriter, a creator in general. That's all you can hope for. And this film really is just beautiful.
Yeah. Well,
we don't have any puns or anything funny to say. I can't even really make fun of Jim on our way out on this one because this film was just so heart-wrenching. So I guess we should just, on this solemn note.
Wait, I was going to say something really dumb about waves.
Oh, please don't. We're going to shut it down now then. Okay, so for the AFC Podcast, you guys can watch us again on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox. You can hear us on that. And then on YouTube, you can watch our lovely faces and watch me shut down Jim on a regular basis. Thank you again to Sultan for coming on and sharing all his stuff with us. We're going to share with you all of his links so you can keep updated on the things that he does, because he's a really exciting filmmaker. And we're really excited to watch what he does. For the AFC Podcast, my name's Victoria Fragnito.
I've been silenced, so I don't know if I'm allowed to talk. I'm Jim Galizia. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys next time.